Sandhagen talking about his fight coming up with Petr Yan. It's going to be for the interim championship. Cory did an interview where he said, yes, if I beat Yan, I will feel like the real champion. Everybody views Yan as the champion. Tough spot. Now, I got to give Sandhagen a fair shake. I am impressed with this guy. I think that he's a total stud. I can't go any further, right? Sandhagen's still a real thing. They tried to give him a number one contendership in the ring after the night he beat Frankie Edgar. He was not following his own division close enough to know that's what was happening, and he handed it to Aljo. I mean, that's real, right? I got to give him a hard time for that, but for how long? I can't keep picking on the guy forever. I can't keep doing that, but it's still in the back of my mind. So when I hear him do an interview where he's claiming that everybody views Yan as the champion, I'm looking around going, who? Who thinks Yan is the champion? Certainly nobody that follows the sport, not anybody that knows that Sterling's the champion, not anybody that's now been told you and Yan are fighting for an interim championship that neither one of you bringing. It's going to be contested that night. Who thinks he's the champion? Certainly not Yan, who's pissed off about it and trying to get back to it. Who does? And there's just a part of me wondering if Cory doesn't know that Sterling's now the champion and Yan isn't. I don't know how serious to take him. It's hard. It's hard after he pulled the Sandhagen. So I'm just staring at that, and I'm going in circles a little bit, but there's not a whole lot that you can do if you're in Cory's spot. They always ask, and it's always some scumbag media reporter. It will never be a guy who you've heard of. It will never be a guy on a network that you can turn on your television. It will always be some underground guy that left his parents' basement just long enough to pick up his press pass that has to ask, will you feel like the real champion? It is in the top 5 dumbest, rhetorical, and laziest questions in the history of the sport. Because it's redundant and keeps coming up. Nobody can fight for an interim championship and not be asked that question. Somebody who asked this of Cory Sandhagen, it may not be the same person, but somebody will ask the same question to Yan. Whether it's the same guy or a different guy, somebody will say that. And if you're in Sandhagen's spot, what are you supposed to say? It's a yes-no answer. So you say yes. All right, great. Then you're trying to add to your match because it's only an interim match and you're trying to steal false glory. Or if you say no, and that answer has come up one time. Shane Carwin won an interim championship. They had the belt on. They bring Lesnar into the ring for an organic face-off. Lesnar's the undisputed champion. And Lesnar points down at his belt and says, that thing's not real. Shane Carwin reaches back, unstraps it, lets it fall on the floor of the octagon and says, I agree. So we're going to fight for your belt. Now that was interesting. The fight was already happening. It was already made. Shane didn't need anything. He didn't need to pretend to be anything. He was the interim champion, which Shane looked at as I'm the number one contender, which is all I want to be anyway. Brock, see you in 3 months. It was just an interesting moment. And then Adesanya pulled a swerve. Adesanya was the interim champion when he went to Australia and took on Robert Whittaker. Whittaker, undisputed champion. So belt versus belt, Whittaker gets to walk out last. When Adesanya beat him, Adesanya went on the ESPN desk and told John Anik and I am not the undisputed champion. I was defending my belt, the interim belt. I'm now a 2-time interim champion. And that was great, and I never wanted Adesanya to drop that bet. Because now he'd be a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6, however many times he's won it. Interim champion. I just personally enjoyed that. I enjoy how comfortable Adesanya is in his own skin. Adesanya likes Adesanya. Adesanya has confidence in Adesanya. And there's just something about it that was compelling that he was stopping John and I from calling him undisputed champion. He was doing it as though this was serious and important to him. And it was his night and his hard work. And we had better address him properly, which is a 2-time interim champion. There was just something brilliant about it. And so it was a little bit of a swerve that both those guys did. That Carwin pulled, that Adesanya pulled. Perhaps the "is this for the real belt" is not a yes or no question. Perhaps there is answer C. Perhaps there is a fourth response to it. So I would encourage guys to get clever, because this is the last time they're going to ask Sandhagen this. It is literally one of the most redundant, repetitive, and rhetorical questions in the sport. There has never been an interim fight where that question isn't asked. And Sandhagen should know I'm probably not only going to be asked it once. There's going to be some other lazy guy from mymothersbasement.com that somehow smuggled a press pass and is now in front of me at a media scrum. And I don't know what the clever answer is. I don't know what it is. I'm submitting for you guys. Maybe it's not yes or no. Maybe it's one of those things. And why would you build it up in all fairness? Because if you lose it, it doesn't matter anyway. And if you win it, it doesn't matter anyway. You're going right in to Sterling. You're not negotiating anything. You're not bartering or bidding for anything. So quite frankly, they could take the answer. They could even take your opinion that you have them and shove it straight up their ass. That answer and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee. However, in the world of entertainment, which is largely what these media scrums are for, Sandhagen should know he's going to be asked this again, have stashed a little bit better answer. Petr Yan needs to do the same thing. And you need to come out and you need to entertain us. And we will take your answer, we will get you credit, we will get you highlights for it, and we will find out the name of the next lazy, repetitive, redundant reporter who snuck into the scrum and asked such a stupid question.